The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon to some of you. Thank you again for joining the webinar today. My name is Steve Szabo. I recognize some of the names here in the webinar. So for those of you that do not know me, my job responsibility is focusing on business development for our overseas markets, particularly EMEA and Asia. Just a few little housekeeping before we get going. This webinar will be recorded. We'll distribute it out to everyone once I have it uploaded. We'll have it on our YouTube channel. I'll also distribute the PowerPoint deck that I'm going through here. So expect an email from me later on today with both of those. And so the goal of this webinar is really to focus on kind of what's new, what we've done the past 12, 18 months. This will not cover core functionality. We've got a number of videos on our YouTube channel, on the website, that cover a lot of the core aspects of our software. I really just want to keep this as brief as possible, give everyone an update on where we're at. So that's the objective here. And then towards the end, be happy to answer any questions you may have. So in the GoToWebinar control panel there, you've got a place where you can enter questions. Feel free to enter those in as we go, and we'll see what we have as we get to the end of the webinar. So just quickly on the agenda, as I sent this out to everyone, we're going to start out with product updates and enhancements, pretty much from 2018 up to present. We'll then focus in on our FactoryTalk View integration, what updates we've made there. I want to talk a little bit about our new mobile app. We've just released the beta program on May 1st, so talk to you on how you can participate in the beta program. And then we'll close out going through some of the technical resources, some new commercial resources, materials that we've put on our website that I think could be beneficial to everyone. And then we'll close it out with questions. So we'll go ahead and dive into the product update. So we've actually had 7 releases since January of 2018. If you're on customers have current support programs, they're always able to upgrade to the most current version. You can see our release dates there. And so this is what we'll be covering in the presentation today. Again, start with kind of general product enhancements, updates. We'll talk about what's been done with the FactoryTalk connection, and then talk a little bit about the high-level highlights of our next release, which will be 3.19.9, expected to release this month. This, again, will only cover product updates, enhancements, feature updates. I'm not going to go through, there's a number of other changes we've made, bug fixes. If you would like to see that information, we've got the full copy of release notes that's on our website. You'll find it under the documentation, technical documents section. It'll always run with our latest release version number on it, so currently 3.19.5, and it is a running document, so you can go back and see the changes that were made in previous versions. So we'll dive into some of the general product enhancements that we've made over the past year or 18 months. One feature we added in that I think helped benefit a lot of our WIN-911 standard and interactive license users is some additional functionality that at one point was only available at our highest level software package, WIN-911 Advanced. And that is the option to enable or disable a re-notification on state changes. That's one of them. The other one is being able to utilize an auto acknowledge. And so the re-notify on the state change basically comes down to some customers are looking for just an alarm when it goes into that alarm state, or I should say just a notification when it goes into that alarm state. They do not want to get the updates if it returns to normal or if it gets acknowledged. In the past, our basic tactics always re-notified you on a state change. So we've given you an option now to disable that within the basic tactics. And then as far as the auto acknowledge is concerned, this is a feature that customers were used to using with our version 7 product. And that's where you could set WIN-911 to auto acknowledge an alarm on return to normal. This at one point required you to have our advanced WIN-911 advanced license and use advanced tactics to do this. We've brought this functionality down to the basic tactics, so you can enable an auto act when it goes into an inactive state. We've also built in automatic recovery for lost TAPI modems. So a TAPI voice modem is typically plugged in through a USB port. We use that to make phone calls out of an analog phone line. What could happen is that modem could have been disconnected, reconnected, or even in the case of a number of failed outbound calls, our software will now recognize this and basically send a reinitialization, make the reconnect to the modem, and continue on without any human intervention. We also built in some functionality to hide the acknowledgement control in our log viewer. So there are instances where remote acknowledgements need to be prevented from the operators, whether that be through a text message or an email, smartphone apps. We've given you the controls to do that. However, our log viewer has an acknowledgement button on it. And so we do have a way now to hide those controls to prevent someone from doing acknowledgements from the log viewer within WIN-911. We've also implemented support for SQL Server 2017. We tested and supported Windows 10 version 1809. So if you're aware, Windows 10 is a little different than they've done in the past. Microsoft, instead of releasing service packs, are now doing these version updates. What we're finding, and I think what a lot of people are finding, is some of these version updates are making major changes, and it's critical that we're testing against these version releases and then obviously letting our customers know that it's been tested and supported. And so I believe we're up to the latest one at the moment. I want to stress that within our system requirements document, we do have the actual version numbers listed now for Windows 10. As new releases come out, and I believe the same will hold for Server 2019, please keep an eye on that. We will have our system requirements document always up to date. We also improved some call termination handling for TAPI and VoIP. So basically what this is saying, that as we had an issue where if we were to call you, another voice type call, we ask you for your authorization code, you enter that in. We then present the alarms to you. We ask you if you need to acknowledge it or save the message or move on. If you were to get disconnected or decide you've heard the alarm, I'm not going to take any action, and hang up, there ended up being a long delay period where we're waiting for some action, waiting for a timeout, before then we can move on to make the next call. We know that the call had been ended, but we were not acting on that, so we made some changes there to where if you're hanging up the phone, we know the call's terminated, and we're going to immediately move on to the next action. We also spent some time testing the new 4G LTE modems, the same multi-tech modems that we've been supporting. A lot of you have used those H5 HSPA modems. So this is just the newer 4G version. Those have been tested. The one that we would sell here in Europe, I don't believe that we're carrying the modem at the moment, but it is supported. So it's just the generic LEU modem, I believe it is. But we will be carrying it soon, and I think probably sooner than later we'll be replacing the HSPA modems and just only selling the new LTEs moving forward. So those are supported if you need to use them at this point. We've also made some big changes to the OPC module. I put this in here under general product enhancements just because I know we've got some customers who maybe are using our FactoryTalk Direct Connect, but also using an OPC connection. And this was some pretty big changes, I think, so it's worth bringing up here. The kind of overview of the problem and what we solved was when we make a connection to an OPC server, just like any other client, we have a list of items and we ask for updates to know what the values are so we can determine for us if it's an alarm or not. Most times it comes through good value, time, and quality. So the VTQ, everything looks good. It's a normal event. Other times you can get a bad quality. So a bad quality is not a critical error. It just means we don't need to take any action on this information because it's not in a good quality state. So let's wait for an update with a good quality. When that comes through, okay, we're back communicating, talking, and we can take some action. Now the problem is you can get in a situation where you may get a bad quality event for an item, but you also, alongside that, get a server fault. And in normal cases, a server fault along with the bad quality is an unrecoverable event, and basically we would normally drop the handle for that item. A simple example is you've defined a tag that doesn't exist in the OPC server. When we ask for a value, a bad quality comes through, but also a server fault that says this tag doesn't exist. We drop the handle on that item. There's no reason for us to keep trying to connect to that forever. Well, what we found is there are some server faults that we are recoverable, that we can get a good quality event for down the line. And so we've identified 3 of them that we are now going to say if we get an update for this tag and it's a bad quality with one of these server faults, let's hang tight, let's wait, there could be a good event that comes through, and then we'll continue on with monitoring this item. The 3 server faults that we're going to see as recoverable is a server shutdown, an RPC server unavailable, and then one that comes through labeled unspecified error. We've seen all 3 of these are recoverable, so we'll continue to monitor for a good quality event if we receive that. We've also done a lot of improvement on some performance and reduced some memory usage, especially in the cases of getting large bursts of alarms. So this is hundreds and hundreds of alarms coming through. We noticed some places we can make improvements at the dispatcher level as well as in the SMS module. So for example, on the dispatcher, we had found an issue with memory. If you had the log viewer running for a number of weeks solid, there was an issue where it was using up too much memory. We've got in there and fixed that. At the SMS module level, a good example is we were doing some bookkeeping on roles. So the roles are kind of the way you can group individuals together. And we were doing bookkeeping at the SMS module level for these roles when technically it doesn't live there. It lives more in the dispatcher, and it was pretty much useless process there. So we got in and cleaned that up. And we also noticed that could give us a problem when we had these large bursts of alarms. So made some improvements there. And that was over a few different releases throughout the past 18 months. Okay, so let's move into FactoryTalk View and what specifically we worked on here. So big one, support for FactoryTalk View 10. So that happened in the past year. I think a big feature enhancement that we've added, we had a number of requests from partners, customers, was to be able to filter on groups. I think this became more important when FactoryTalk 10 came out. So now we're able to filter for our subscriptions on names, class, severities, and now we've added groups. So you can see a screenshot there. We also finally built in a language selection. This was, I feel like, earlier in 2018, though, so may have a lot of you seen this, but we built in the language selection now for the message field. Prior to this, you had to have your alarm message string in the U.S. English field. You could copy it over from whatever language you were actually using, but that needed to be there for us. And so now what you can do is we've got a selection. So as we're connected into the FactoryTalk database or into the FactoryTalk services, when you hit the browse here, it will give you the list of all of the languages that you have installed in your FactoryTalk system, and you can select the one that you want WIN-911 to monitor the alarm messages from, and we can now pull them from there. We also made a change to the way we were representing acknowledgments and who acknowledged the alarm. In the past, if you were to acknowledge the alarm from your, let's say, a cell phone, so it would technically log within WIN-911 as Steve and maybe via SMS, that was obviously being passed back to FactoryTalk to acknowledge the alarm, and then FactoryTalk would update us with who acknowledged it, essentially. And really what that comes down to was it was seeing as the computer name, so where our program is running, was acknowledging it and literally said /none. And so this would be the acknowledged by person that would go out in a message to everyone else showing who acknowledged it. So that's really not useful to anyone. So we're now have changed that so it is retaining that Steve acknowledged it via SMS. Everyone can see that now, and that is logged within WIN-911. We also corrected an issue some of you may have come across where the severity values, if you were using specific severity values, there was a problem there, so we ended up having to use a range, but do the range for that one specific value. So that was, a headache for some, not a major change, but glad to see that fixed. And then we also improved some runtime response time on the way when you're making edits to labels and subscriptions. While this is all live and running, just the response of this being updated. We found some places we could be a little more efficient there, so that's been fixed. So let's talk a little bit about the next release. So next release, version 3.19.9. We've got a release date set for May 22nd. So we've got a few high-level highlights. Some other things are in here referring to maybe other data source connections. So I've left those out. Just focus on kind of the general product updates as well as on FactoryTalk. So I think the big thing is we will have support for FactoryTalk View 11 on this next release. The big change, I think, here in FactoryTalk 11 is this idea of FactoryTalk events. So we've always been filtering and monitoring all the alarms that come through with FactoryTalk, but now there's this idea of this event. This event is now also coming through. We had to make a slight change here because an event doesn't have an acknowledgement property. Part of its property levels, there's no acknowledgement for it. So what we noticed when we did our testing initially with FDView 11 was these events would come through our filter. We would alarm on them, great. But if you wanted to acknowledge it to stop the call outs, we try and send an acknowledgement back to FactoryTalk, and it doesn't acknowledge. So it never acknowledges. So what we've done, so on this next release, you'll have an option to say, yes, I want to bring events into WIN-911 or not. So that's at a global level. And then if you decide you want to bring the events in, we can do alarming just as we've done with all the alarms we've done in the past. And what we will do is we will have an acknowledgement that we own within our software for these events. Very similar to the way we do like an OPC alarm. We actually create the alarm in our software with OPC, and we own an acknowledgement for it. If you acknowledge it, it acknowledges in our software, and we don't pass the acknowledgement anywhere. This will be the same for the FT View events. So we'll get the the event in. We can do notification. You can acknowledge it. It acknowledges in our software, but we do not try and push that to FactoryTalk. So that should be expected soon. If you need to use WIN-911 with FactoryTalk View 11 today, with the current release, we will work, but as long as you're not pushing any events into our software and it's only alarms. Another two big changes that we're going to be making are on the voice module. So we're going to be eliminating the voice mailbox. So the idea with the voice mailbox, we had a couple use cases here that we took to our customers and we thought would be used maybe a little bit more and would be a benefit to them. And one was being able to save alarm messages. If you get a call, you could save the message into a mailbox and we would store that for you. We also had this idea of saving a mailbox, saving these alarms in a mailbox. If we were to, let's say, call you, you put your authorization code in, we have a number of alarms to give you, and we lose you. Let's say your phone dies, you lose service, and you want to get back in 30 minutes later and hear those alarms. So that was kind of the idea behind this. What we've found is with number one, voice being one of the slower notification methods, the mailbox just ended up making it not as user-friendly, maybe even slower in cases to get your current active alarms, because if you had a mailbox full of events, you may have to listen to all of those to get to the most recent one we just called you about. We found most people aren't saving messages, and we decided that we need to treat this more like we did in our version 7 product, where a voice call is going to go down a list, call you, you're going to put your authorization code in, we're going to give you the current events, what's going on right now. And so if you call back in 10 minutes, you're going to get whatever's there in 10 minutes. You're not going to hear alarms that happened an hour ago that we were supposed to notify you on. I think this is going to help the usability of the voice and help people get their alarm messages quicker and more efficiently. This also ties into being able to act or skip voice messages during the playback. This, again, is just going to help you kind of move through these messages a little bit quicker for certain reasons if necessary. And then finally, we will have support for Server 2019 also with this next release. So we can talk a little bit now about the new mobile apps. We've been advertising this. I think I was talking a little bit about it at RS Tech Ed last year. And we've really been pushing this for the last year and a half. So we're happy to say that we now have the WIN-911 mobile beta program out. It's live. It started May 1st. We're going to be running this program for 2 months. This is a new mobile app that will be replacing our mobile 911. So the goal here is with the beta program is obviously to get as much feedback from our customers, our integrators, our partners as possible. And so we've given you 2 ways to participate here. You can just simply download the app and connect to a live demo server that we've provided. This will give you alarms. This will give you interaction. We've had something very similar with our mobile 911 app, where it was very quick, easy to get hooked in and get a feel for how this app works. So that's one way you can participate in the beta program. The other way is actually getting everything set up locally in-house to test. And so in order to do this, you will need you will need a newer version of WIN-911, which is in a beta form. That's version 3.19.7. That we'll need to send you a link for. We'll actually send you a mobile gateway account, which actually lives in the Azure cloud, which is what's handling a lot of the communication now between the mobile app and your system. So this is another way you can get in and test and participate in the beta program. And so after the conclusion, July 1st, we're going to have a prize drawing for a few prizes. As we've got listed here, we're going to be giving away an 11-inch iPad Pro. I guess would be the grand prize. We've got $500 Amazon gift cards, or let's say €100 gift cards. And then we'll have 5 WIN-911 mobile branded Yeti tumblers. It's a 30-ounce, keeps your drink cold or hot, like mug. And so the way this will work is the more feedback, for every feedback you submit, gives you one additional drawing in the raffle at the end of the beta program. So I don't want to talk too much about this in detail. We've got a web page that's got all the information here. When we launched on May 1st, Steve Rivas, our product manager, did a full mobile beta launch webinar. Gives you all the details of the program, runs you through the product, also has a setup towards the end of that on how to get it set up, both with just the demo server or in-house. We provide a quick start guide for you, and there is also an enrollment form. So what I can do is we can go to the website quickly. I'll show you where that is located. So as you go onto the website, we've got right front and center on our slider page a way to get to the mobile beta program, or you can go through products, the top menu, WIN-911 mobile beta. And then once there, this page should have everything you need to participate, the instructions, an overview. You've got a link to the video that we put out. You've got the QR codes to even get the download. So the app is on the Google Play Store for Android devices. For iOS, we're using TestFlight. So this QR code will download the TestFlight program, which will then load up the new WIN-911 mobile beta. And then down towards the bottom, there is a sign-up form. So you don't need to enroll to download the app and use it with our test server, but if you want to participate in the drawing, we need you to enroll. Also, if you want to set this up internally with the new you're going to need the WIN-911 beta. You're going to need a mobile gateway login set up, and we'll provide you with an additional 30-day demo extension. So you've got the full 60 days to do the testing. We do need you to sign up here, and you'll receive that information from our product manager. So I encourage everyone to take a look. We're excited to finally have it out, and we'll expect a release sometime shortly after the beta program's finished. So finally, we're going to talk a little about some technical resources that we've put together for everyone. I think we've spent a lot of time on some of these, so I wanted to, while I have everyone's attention, point those out where they can be located. So we'll talk about some technical resources and then a little bit about the commercial resources. Again, I'm going to hand out the presentation to everyone, so you've got these links here with the topics on where to find this information, but I think I'd like to walk you through the website to kind of show you where this is at. So, we did a survey over a year ago now, a number of surveys with our system integrators, and I think a big piece of what they responded with was it'd be great if you could have how-to videos, short 5 to 15-minute videos on how to do things like setup, configuration, maintain the software. So we've continued to work through that through 2018, still till today. We have 34 how-to videos now on the website and on our YouTube channel. Show you where those are at. We recently in March released our installation checklists that I'd like to show you guys, and then also some network diagrams, which had spawned from a number of questions we would always get. Okay, this is my architecture. Where should I install WIN-911? What licenses do I need? So I think this network diagrams on a technical level, but also at a commercial level, are very useful. And then I have the system requirements on here because not that that's new, but there's a few things that I would like to highlight. So we'll take a look at that now. So back on our website, the how-to videos, there's actually two ways to get to those. One, you'll find a link under resources. There's a how-to videos there. You'll also see the same link under support. So hit the how-to videos. This is going to have all of our how-to videos listed by kind of a grouping with links. So we've got general how-tos specific to a data source SCADA setup. So we've got a FactoryTalk alarm and event subscriptions and filters. We just recently put a quick start video up here for FTAE. And then we can get into notifiers and so forth. At the top here, you can get this is a link directly to our YouTube page. All of these videos are there as well. So we have those, and then the rest I would like to focus on in our documentations page on the website. So this is resources, documentation. And this is where we put both our installation checklists and the new network diagrams. So in the first section here, we've got for our WIN-911 standard interactive advanced. We now have the install checklist section. We put a video together explaining what it is, how do you use it, why do you need to use it. And then we've got our network diagrams here. So if we take a look quickly at the FactoryTalk view, the goal here was these are documents specifically designed per data source install. So for instance, I've got a project, I'm installing WIN-911 to connect to the alarm and event server in FactoryTalk. What do I need before I go in and do the installation? And so these are documents roughly around 25 pages long. It's going to cover obviously the initial installation and what needs to be done for FactoryTalk, and then also we include the notifications. So in this particular project, I'm going to be doing text messaging and VoIP calls. So we have those sections in this document. And we started out with really a checklist. So you can run through here and say, okay, here's some questions. Do I, yes, no, do I understand this or not? And then you can get to the right places in the document to make sure you have that information and are prepared when going in to make the installation. So we spent a lot of time on this. It's been a long time to get this out, and we're happy we had these released in March. Any feedback that we can get on these as well is very welcome. This is, I guess, Rev 1 to the public. So any feedback is definitely helpful. What's working, what's not. But we hope this helps out a lot for some of our integration members. The other part, network diagrams. So if we take a look, FactoryTalk view. Again, as I mentioned, this can help both at a commercial level and at an engineering level. But the idea is we've got a number of diagrams here for different scenarios. So if I have two separate FactoryTalk applications with a single WIN-911 system, what do I need to buy? Where can I install WIN-911 at? That's kind of the idea here. So we've got those two resources. Perfect. Now, we go. Oh, system. Jump back quickly. So the system requirements, the one thing I wanted to touch on here, you'll also find this on the same resources documentation page. As I mentioned early on in the presentation, we've got the Windows 10 version updates coming out, so it's important that we're keeping an eye on what versions have been tested and supported. As I mentioned, this will be logged here. I think we'll expect similar for the server 2019. So that's on the system requirements. Also, SCADA versions as they're coming out. So if we look today, FactoryTalk alarm and events, we've got all the versions here that we're supporting. We don't have 11 on here yet. Next release, you'll see it here. So just want to make sure you guys are aware we're keeping these up to date, and it's important to take a look at this prior to getting started on a project. Okay, now on to commercial resources, and we'll have this wrapped up. So a few things to add here. We've got a new overview video that I just wanted to bring up while I had everyone's attention, show you where that's located. I think it was pretty well done. Good marketing tool as always. We are also continuing our monthly webinar series, so we've got 21 videos now archived there. Those are a little longer 40 minutes to an hour, covering a number of topics, both technical and commercial. Sometimes we're doing joint webinars with system integrators or partners, Rockwell, so you can find those there. The product matrix we've had for some time now. This isn't new, but I just wanted to touch on that. We do have some new resources tied to it. Make sure everyone's aware there. We did release our interactive quote builder. So this was another project that was a long time coming, so we're happy we got that out last year. So just want to make sure everyone's aware of where that's located. And finally, I get a number of questions about hardware. I see WIN-911 selling a cellular modem. Is there a chance I could find it locally here? If so, what's the part number? Where can I find it? And so this information is on our website, just to make sure everyone's aware of where that's located. So let's go back to win911.com. So first, under resources, you can actually just click the main link here or go to brochures, bringing you to the same page. This is where you'll find our new overview video. Again, it's on our YouTube channel as well. It's just going to be right here, front and center, overview videos. Encourage you to check it out, link to it. Good video to send on to others looking to learn a little more about our software. The rest of the commercial aspects are all going to lie under the product menu. So first, we'll take a quick look at the compare products. This is second from the top there. This is our product matrix and going to help you determine what's the difference between our WIN-911 standard license, our WIN-911 interactive license, WIN-911 advanced. So you can scroll down here. We've got a video we also put together talking a little bit more in detail about the differences. We've got also resources out here to the features on the left if you want to learn more about some of these. Like, okay, what's the difference between a basic tactic and strategy and an advanced tactic and strategy? Because I can clearly see the advanced is only in the advanced license. We've got our network diagrams tied into the SCADA as well down there. So that's the compare products, and from there we built out, well, I think almost could replace this, an interactive quote builder. I think there's two purposes this serves. One is to get an idea, I guess, of the kind of pricing, what list price idea for a package. But the other thing is to notice, okay, first, how do I put a package together? I've looked at your architecture diagrams. I've kind of looked at the compare products, but what options are available to me? So you make a decision at the high level. I need a WIN-911 interactive because I need two-way communication. And then from here, it's going to give you options for your add-ons, for the hardware that's possible. And as you do that, it'll piece together to give you an idea of a pricing estimate. So happy to have that here. And then finally, if we go over here to back to resources and on the documentation page again, this is with regards to the hardware. We scroll down to the third section. We've got a list of hardware. We have every manufacturer make and model, part number. We have links to the manufacturer website and their data sheets, and some other technical documents, AT commands, user guides. Our price list also lists out the manufacturer part number, so you can easily match what our part number is to one of these products. But all of our hardware is listed here that we sell, so you should be able to get all the information you need from it. And then finally, our webinar series. So this is also found under resources, webinar series. And again, it's going to be a list of links. All of these are stored on our YouTube page. We've got dates on when these came out. You can also sign up. Right now, it doesn't look like we have one set up for next month yet, but this is where a sign-up page will be, and all of our archived videos will be here as well. I plan on putting this video probably in here also. So I believe that brings us to the end of the presentation. Let's see if we got any questions. I must have answered everybody's questions because I don't have any in here, so that's good. I will give you guys one other question that I've come up with. As far as the WIN-911 mobile apps are concerned, for everyone using mobile 911 today, for everyone that has a WIN-911 interactive package, which includes the mobile apps, even if you're not using them, also WIN-911 Advanced includes the mobile apps, you are licensed to use the new mobile app when it is released. So you will be able to migrate from mobile 911 to the new WIN-911 mobile when they are released. You're already licensed for it, so that is a migration path when you choose to do so. I don't see any other questions in here, so you have my contact details. If anything comes up, you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. I want to thank everyone for taking the time out. I'm going to get you out of here a little bit early. So I'll just leave on the final note. Please take a look at the new mobile apps. It really only takes a few minutes to download. All of your feedback is extremely important to us. We want to make sure we put out the best product possible for our partners and customers. And the more feedback we can get, the better we can have that product when it's ready for release. And you get a chance to win an iPad Pro. So thank you everyone for your time. Have a wonderful rest of the Friday and a wonderful weekend. And I look forward to working with all of you in the future. Have a nice day.